Changing the oil on your bike is one of the easiest things that you can do yourself. Not to mention, it's going to be cheaper than paying someone else to do it. Watch this video to find out exactly how simple this process is. Okay, before we get started on the oil change, I would like to just follow up with a video that I released several weeks ago pertaining to the type of oil to put in the bike. So I asked for your opinion on this topic and got a lot of great comments, and I appreciate everybody participating in that. And there were varying responses, which is what I expected. And some of you recommended conventional oil, others recommended synthetic. And so for those that recommended conventional oil, you made a good argument that basically a lot of motorcycles have run forever, tens of thousands of miles, hundreds of thousands of miles, and for several years or several decades, running nothing more than conventional oil. And you say, hey, just do what the book says, and basically they'll run forever. So I can't disagree with that. That's a good argument, not to mention it's cheaper doing it that way. And for those of you that said use synthetic or a synthetic blend, you make a sound argument as well, as far as, hey, it's newer technology. It's basically going to make things last even longer than conventional. So why not put it in there if it's better? I can't argue with that either. So two good points. It's just a matter of personal preference, I think. Can't go wrong with either one of them. So for right now, I've kind of compromised between the two extremes, and I'm going with the Yamaha semi-synthetic, as you will see in the video. But that's what I'm going with, at least this time, this being the first time I'm doing it myself. What I do in the future, I'll determine that when that time comes. But again, thank you everyone for responding and participating. And so let's go ahead and get started. Here is everything you need to change your own oil. First, a 17mm socket for the drain plug. You will need an oil filter wrench for the oil filter, and this particular oil filter wrench is made by Yamaha, and it is the one for the VMAX 1700. A torque wrench, a gasket for the drain plug, the oil filter, and one thing I would like to note on the oil filter, it appears there are 4 different filter models throughout the years of the VMAX 1700. And when I ordered my oil filters a few months ago, I ordered the one for my year, which is a -71, and the company sent me one -71 and one -70. So everything that I can see, they appear to be exactly the same. If there is anything different going on the inside, then I don't know exactly what that might be. That would warrant a different model number. But if anybody knows, feel free to chime in on that. And of course you will need new oil and an oil drain pan. The first thing we're going to do is remove the oil fill plug, which will aid the flow of oil out of the drain plug. And that should do it. Okay, I ran into a problem. My oil drain pan is too thick to fit underneath the motorcycle when it's on the kickstand and leaning on its side. So as you can see, I went ahead and put it on the rear stand to give me clearance for the drain pan. So I will go ahead and start draining the oil and get as much out as possible this way, and then I will put it back down on its kickstand and get a lower profile container just to get what's remaining. Okay, I have my 17mm socket. I'm going to go ahead and remove the drain bolt and let this thing start draining. Okay, I've got the oil filter wrench on the end of the oil filter, and one thing I noticed was that because of the angle, I cannot get a straight in shot with my extension. So I'm going to add a swivel to the end of it, which should allow me to turn it away from the radiator.
Okay, I'm in. Let's see if I can break this loose. There it goes. All right, I can remove that now. All right, the filter's off. Now we'll let that drain.
Okay, I finished draining the oil. I did take it off the rear stand and allow it to lean on the kickstand, and just a little bit came out. But I did find a low profile Rubbermaid container in the kitchen, which will no longer be allowed in the kitchen. But anyway, just keep that in mind if you're doing this yourself, to make sure that your container will fit underneath so you don't have to go through the hassle that I just did. All right, but anyway, now it's time to put the oil filter back on, or I should say the new filter in place. And one thing I will want to show you is this filter came with oil or grease already on the seal. So the instructions always tell you to make sure you use new motor oil on the seal, but in this case it's already coated and there was plastic over it. So now all we need to do is just put it in place. Okay, and according to the owner's manual, it is supposed to be torqued to 13 foot-pounds. So I'll put the oil filter wrench in place. Got the torque wrench already set. Again, I'm going to use a swivel. See what that'll do. And there it is. It doesn't take much. 13 foot-pounds is not a lot. So I know a lot of people want to put them on there really tight, but that's a bad idea because it just makes it that much more difficult to remove. And a lot of times people will destroy the oil filter trying to remove them because they were just put on too tight. Alright, next we will put on the drain bolt. Before we install the drain bolt, we need to put on the new gasket. And one thing I want you to notice on the gasket is there are differences in each side. So make sure that the smooth side goes towards the head of the bolt. So because those are the two mating surfaces, so they will be smooth to ensure that it rotates nice and smoothly around there. So keep that in mind. So I'll just go ahead and hand tighten it for now. Alright, I'll grab the wrench, tighten it down. And that gasket, by the way, is a compression type seal, which is why I like to replace them every time. Alright, it's getting snug. I'll go ahead and grab the torque wrench. I already have it set for 32 foot-pounds. And there it is. Alright, that's that. The only thing left to do is to fill it with oil. The owner's manual says that with an oil filter replacement, this should hold 4.97 US quarts, so which is almost 5 quarts. But what I like to do is to add a little bit and then check and make sure there are no leaks. And then I constantly just add a little bit as I go, and then I will eventually start it up and then go from there, because the last thing I want to do is overfill it. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, like I said, I've got a little bit in there now, so I want to go around and check for leaks. So far so good, so I'll keep on going. All right, there's 4 quarts. And so far the oil is not yet seen in the sight window. There are 2 marks. Right here is the lower limit,
and right up here is the upper limit. So once we get up close to the upper limit, then I will start it up. And here it comes. I can now see it through the sight window. All right, we appear to be close to the upper limit. Put the cap on. Start it up for a little bit and see what happens. And it dropped because it has now filled the oil filter. So it looks like we're safe to put the rest in. I will leave a little bit in my remaining quart because it may read a little bit differently when I get it off of the rear stand. Okay, I ran it a couple of times and I ended up pouring everything I had into it. So it took a total of 5 quarts. And as you can see, it is clearly right between the lower limit and the upper limit. And I will also add that right now it is on the rear stand, but where it shows in the glass is the same whether it's on the rear stand or whether I was sitting on the bike and holding it level. So, and I use a telescoping mirror, by the way, is how I look at the sight window when I'm sitting on the bike. But anyway, that's all there is to this. It's as easy as it looked. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you do, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. See you next time.